Hey Steve, it's Ann.
I am.
How are you?
Good, how you doing?
2 years ago, you guys had a pretty famous bus ride to a game seven that's part of Warriors lore. I'm just wondering how the trip was, what you are gauging of the mood of your team today after a pretty rough loss.
Yeah, the mood's good. I think we all realize the things we have to do better. It's a great series, two really evenly matched teams, and you can't get caught up in anything other than the next game. And what I think we were well aware that last night we had a great opportunity that we didn't cash in on, but there's a reason it's a 7 game series. So we got another crack at it and we're excited.
Thanks.
They're I think they're two big lineups, like offensive rebound and like 45% of misses. Obviously, Adams, just plus minus wise, has been kind of the dominant force in this series. How much of as your, I guess, game planning for tomorrow is based on just having to protect the glass better and dealing with Steven Adams?
Yeah, that's a big deal. I thought we had 3 or 4 plays where we tried to tip the ball to our teammate instead of grabbing it with 2 hands. A big key in this series was the possession battle and, making sure we were chasing down every loose ball, every long rebound. I thought maybe the biggest problem last night was on those long rebounds or any rebounds. We were not locked in on finding shooters. Van Vleet's first three, for example, it was like 5 seconds from the time they got the rebound to the time he got the ball in the corner. We didn't recognize where he was. So we have to we have to be more disciplined from a game plan standpoint, and some of that is just energy to go get the ball.
Draymond and Jimmy seem frustrated with the lack of you guys hunting down the loose balls as you're mentioning. But part of that, I assume, for them is they're the ones having to fight the bigs. Um, and I know you're not going to like reveal personnel choices going into Game 7, but Looney's an obvious guy that can help on the glass. How much do you have to kind of look at him as an option?
For sure. I mean, I trust Loon, implicitly, based on being together for 10 years, seeing him perform in so many of these big games. So I would expect Loon to play more than he did last night. The challenge in this series has been finding, the right combinations, based on, trying to put together two-way lineups. If they're going to go zone, like they have quite a bit, then we have to have some shooting and spacing but we've got to get stops at the other end too. So we've got to craft our lineups pretty carefully.
Draymond mentioned something about three in the key last night. He wants a three in the key. I'm curious. I think I saw you once during the game yelling for it. Are you looking at that with Adams with the officials right now?
Yeah, we're talking to the refs about that. We thought there were 3 or 4 of them last night, but it's not really a call that officials make very often, so we can't worry about it too much. I mean, I'll alert the refs to it, but we just have to play.
Hey Steve, it's Danny. When we're talking about Adams, obviously he's been a big factor in the series. What are kind of the keys to like maybe playing him off the court like you have so many bigs in the past?
You're talking about Adams?
Yeah.
Well, they're protecting him because you know the what we've been able to do in the past is put bigs in and pick and roll, and that's generally how you play them off the floor. Put them in pick and roll, but they're basically in kind of this hybrid zone whenever he's out there, and he's just manning the middle, and it's kind of a 2-on-2, and then they start chasing Steph around. I'm not sure they know what they're doing, other than staying glued to Steph, and then it just kind of becomes a pseudo zone. So that's how they're protecting him, and it's very difficult. To expose him in any way to get him off the floor. The only way we've been able to so far is by fouling him game 4, I guess it was, maybe it was game 3. I can't remember, but, that's one way, but, that's, as long as they can stick in that zone, then, he's going to be out on the floor.
Hey, Steve, it's Monty. Last night, your shooters, and I mean not Steph, of course, but Moses and BP, Buddy, and Quentin were 11 of 32 from the field. Did you like the looks they got and just need to see them go down?
There were plenty of good looks, and I have no doubt that'll even out, and a lot of those shots will go. And then there were some possessions that we need to improve our spacing. I think that's the real key against these guys. They're long and athletic, obviously big with the two big guys in the paint. So if our spacing is cramped, it's difficult to get great shots. So those are the things we're looking at.
Have you seen anything through 6 games that surprised you from what they brought to the court?
Not really. I mean, I think it's a classic 7-game series where if you look at the tape from game 1 and now you look at the tape from game 6, it's both teams are very, very different. A lot of counter punching, a lot of changing strategies between games. I doubt Ime would have guessed that he would play Adams 31 minutes in a game during this series, and obviously he's playing more and more now as the series goes on, and because of how effective he's been. So yeah, and our lineup has changed, obviously. We've tried to stay ahead of the curve a little bit and throw some different things at them lineup wise. So it's a very classic, 7-game series.
And how do you balance, defensively, they seem to be targeting Quentin, what he gives you on what they're doing to him on that end versus what he gives you on the other end, the spacing and the shooting. How do you balance in playing that?
Yeah, I thought he did a pretty good job in the first half defensively. And then second half, I thought we got a little scattered with our game, with our emotion. That's the biggest thing. There's always going to be matchups and things that you try to do to protect, certain matchups, certain actions that people are running, whatever. There's scheme changes you can make. But biggest thing is that we got out of sorts last night. We got too emotional. First play of the fourth quarter was indicative of our letting our guard down a few times, and that's all it takes in a series like this. Van Vleet gets the 4-point play, it goes from 2 to 6, and the whole nature of the game changes, and that's based on a missed matchup. And so that's my biggest concern tomorrow is just our overall emotional response to a night where we really weren't ourselves.
And what are you seeing through 6 games from Draymond, and what do you need to see from him in game 7?
Well, I think he's our key in terms of what that emotion looks like. He's been in a bunch of game 7s. He's had monster game 7s. I think he recognizes that this series is not pleasant for him. He rarely gets the big on him to run pick and roll. They're putting Van Vleet on him, trying to take him out of the offense, trying to take his rhythm away, trying to goad him into technicals and flagrants like Green did last night. Draymond knows he cannot respond to that stuff in that way. He's just got to maintain his composure and recognize he's the best defender in the world. If we do our jobs and he's guarding, at his best capability, and he's maintaining his emotion, and we're doing our jobs, taking care of the ball, we got a great chance to win, and he gets the last laugh.
Is there such thing as a pleasant series for Draymond at this point?
Yeah, I mean, I just think that when he can play his game and be in the pick and roll, the game is way more fun. And Houston knows that. They have the personnel to sort of change the matchups and match up with us in a way that negates a lot of that offensive effectiveness for Draymond, and they've done a good job of that.
You mentioned Kuminga as kind of everything on the table last night, and I know you were kind of referring to all rotation options, but just curious your thought about what he could give you, and also the trickiness of dropping him in the middle of a series where he hasn't been part of it.
Yeah, I mean, I thought he played well in game 3 when we started him. Especially defensively, did a good job on Jalen Green. I think that's an area where he can help us on ball defense. And the key is what's the combination around him. We know they're in zone an awful lot. Can we find the right combination with JK, with the shooting and spacing we need, and passing, to expose the zone. And so these are all the questions that we're asking. And I think as I've made very clear, the arrival of Jimmy made the combinations much tougher for JK. And so that's what's been sort of standing in his way. And I've got to feel the game, and I'd love to get him out there because I think he can help us. And if I can do that early and get his feet wet, I think that would be helpful for him and for us. But again, we've got to feel good about the combinations and what we're facing with the way they're guarding us.